Let's bring in the Chief Executive Officer of Restaurants Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts, to unpack the impact of the adjusted alert level 4 lockdown on the restaurant industry. A very good afternoon to you, Wendy. Thank you for giving us your time here on SABC News. I'll start with the same question, Wendy, that I started when I spoke to Mr. Ndimani from the Liquor Traders Association, just in terms of what your expectations then are today, as of course you know that the President will be addressing the nation, and there are expectations from the Liquor Traders Association, from that industry. No doubt you yourselves as the restaurant industry as well have your expectations. Let's talk to that.
Look, it's been a week of unpacking many meetings and trying to certainly voice the restaurant industry's voice. I think that over the last couple of months there's been a complete misunderstanding about the financial modelling that has taken place, and we've really put a lot of pressure this last week on trying to ascertain the factuality of these numbers and the restrictions that are placed on the restaurant industry without giving us the factual content, scientific data, statistics, or information that allows us to have a viable relationship with government, that we don't land up back in this position.
Yeah.
So, we are certainly expecting good news. We believe that we should hopefully return to our businesses as normal. There's no need. The numbers are down. And one thing we always need to be reminded of is the reason that we've gone into lockdown was to prepare the healthcare system. And I think, the collaboration needs to continue in terms of getting the readiness of the hospitals continuously as a forefront of the priorities, as opposed to collapsing industries like ourselves without validation or the collective information, because otherwise we're going to be here again in the 4th and the 5th and the 6th wave. And we've got to start opening these conversations. Throughout this week, one of the clear things we said, we can't have these discussions about short, medium and long-term structures. This is imminent for the restaurant industry. We cannot trade past another day. We've always been accommodating, we've always been supportive, and we've always been respectful of President Ramaphosa, the decisions he makes in leading this country and balancing lives and livelihood. And I think that we absolutely believe that he's sensitive to the vulnerable people who have lost their jobs in our industry, the amount of restaurants that are housed on that list of fatalities, and the amount of non-consultation that has taken place, in particular with Minister Patel's offices, where we've reached out at all levels to say we need financial support in order to keep our restaurant industry afloat. Yeah. This week lent itself to many conversations, which certainly has indicated to me that, in particular, that ministerial note has not been favourable to the restaurant industry, has not given us the support that we've needed. And I think if there was outlined conversations and consultations, we could have used the solution that we've been asking for the last 14 months to keep a lot more businesses open and a lot more people employed. So we certainly are looking forward to the President's address tonight, and we are hoping that there'll be good reprieve for our industry.
Yeah, Wendy, no doubt that things will never really go to, what we're used to, how things were. There's certain adjustments everyone has to make, no doubt the restaurant industry itself. And one of the things that I spoke about when I was speaking to the National Liquor Traders Association was about taking responsibility in terms of the fact that, in many instances, and I'm sure you know that I'm not lying when I say that I see, where, rules have been relaxed, where people sort of start to drink and inhibitions go out of the window, and then of course then we start to have people on top of each other. And I'm wondering, from the restaurant sector, when you're talking about having certain collaborations with government, this is one of the places where, it's important and you can take direct accountability for, and making sure, should the President relax, those rules today, this is where you would then essentially be coming in terms of taking responsibility of how people then sort of behave in those restaurants. And how will you be doing that? Because certainly, with all the rights that come, responsibilities also come with that. And so should those rules really be relaxed indeed today, let's talk about what the restaurant industry will then be doing in terms of really collaborating effectively with government to indeed keep those numbers down.
One of the things we need to have and keep in mind is that as we move through the stages and levels of lockdown, the country has become relaxed. I think everybody's craving to go back to a sense of normality. And when we moved into these spaces and we're aware of the uploads of numbers that have been accentuated, we certainly have called to government immediately to say, work with us. We're now in a position now where the numbers are increasing. Don't shut us down. It can't be an either or. We need to look at opportunities, whether we only allow people to sit outside, whether we restrict the number, whether we only sell beer or wine, or whether there are solutions that we placed on the table. We said, work with us. The fact that has happened over the last couple of months is that the lines of communication are completely shut. We cannot get an open line of communication with any of the ministerial divisions that take responsibility to keeping the industry afloat. And that's an irresponsible part on government's behalf, because we as an industry working with the broader scope liquors and the liquor trade and the liquor associations have suggested to government on all levels that we have various solutions. And we need to be able to be in a position where we have these validated relationships and these beneficial relationships where we work in unity. We can't keep having separations where there isn't even a conclusive understanding of how we got to the limited numbers or why we are put on these restrictions. The last 4 weeks have learned that lockdown doesn't work and that even shutting down an entire industry doesn't work. What we've seen is that the illicit trade, unfortunately, bounds itself up. People are still able to get alcohol. They're still landing up in trauma cases. And the rogue operators that are responsible in this manner continue to trade. And the beautiful restaurateurs who employ beautiful staff, who give great experiences, who are interested in keeping health and safety as a high priority, are the ones that are always punished at the end. And we need to work harder with the authorities. We need to ensure that non-compliance is actually reported and that everybody plays a part in South Africa to being responsible, that we don't shut down economies like the restaurant industry. You know, we are always the first place that people turn to where we have the restrictions put on us. You know, shopping centers continue and supermarkets continue, but the restaurant sector is always the hardest hit. And we've had no financial reprieve or consultation, which is against the Constitution. And, you know, if we look at the hard fight that we've done for TERS ends today. So if we don't reopen the industry today, we've got a lot of other conversations and a lot more challenges that we're going to have on our plate tomorrow in order to find financial relief for the staff that haven't been able to come back to work. So in sum total, I think what we also need to do is open proper conversation, because where the representation have been going through for the NCC, I don't think that our industry has been properly represented, because I don't think there's an understanding for the frail financial model and the combination. And we can't also have this erratic decisions. You know, in April, we were able to trade and bring down the numbers, and we had on-con, and we showed South Africa that we did play a responsible part. And when we called to the public to play their part, they certainly did.
Yeah.
So to go from that extreme in April to the position we're in now and decimate an industry after they did the same thing in December to us makes no sense at all. So we certainly want to continue working with government. Our doors are open. The lines of communication are open. We're appealing to the public, if we're open today, to please support our industry and allow the restaurants to trade with minimal impact and not to put us under pressure where we find ourselves in total lockdown again.
All right. Wendy, thank you very much for giving us your time here on SABC News. Wendy Alberts is the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa. Many thanks.